It's Tuesday, March 7th, 2023. And you can tell I'm wearing my jacket in the shop. It's rather cool in here because I've had the doors open a lot. And it's not very warm out. I think it was minus 14, minus 18. The weather is getting better, but it sure is cold right now. And we're going through a bit of a temperature depression. It was really nice a few days ago, but the temperatures are getting better. Long range forecast, I could be taking bees out in a couple of weeks. So that means I got a lot of woodshop work to do before then. And that's exactly what I've been doing. I've been doing almost nothing else. I want to show you my little process here. I've got to cut up probably 40 sheets of 3/4 inch plywood. Now yesterday I did 10 and I just dragged them in the door on this side and lifted them by hand onto the saw. It just about wore me out. They're so heavy and I don't like leaving the door open that long. So I cleared everything out of this side of the shop and I was able to get my tractor in with the door closed. So I can bring a few sheets in here. Little guy won't lift that many, maybe I don't know, 7. If I don't use a pallet, then it'll lift about maybe 7 or 8. Actually, you know what? Without a pallet, I think I was lifting 10 before. So, but what I've done is I've got it positioned so that I can pull the sheets from there flat across on the table saw, but it's also low enough that there's clearance when I rip a sheet, then it doesn't bind on the pile of plywood on the other side. So that's just what I'm doing. I did discover a program I want to tell you about. The program, it's a cloud-based program. It's not software. It's a subscription-based, but there is a free option for it. The free option is that you can do 5 calculations a day, which should be more than enough for most people. I did buy a subscription because I was doing a few more than that, doing some what-if scenarios. So it does take a few minutes to set up with all your materials and parts, but once you've done that, you can save your projects. And what it does is you can tell it all of the material you have on hand. So if it's just 4x8 sheets of plywood, that's fine. But if you have some irregular pieces that are not standard sizes, either boards or plywood, and you can tell it what the material is. I generally do my calculations on just 3/4 inch plywood, and then I'll do a different project for just boards and a different project for just 2x4s, that kind of thing. Just the way I've been doing it. I find it a little less confusing. You get too much stuff in there and it's hard to track. But what it does for you is then after you put all your raw material in, then you put all the parts that you want to cut and the quantities of those parts. You can tell it to respect grain direction. You can say, make sure you run the grain the direction I like to run. If you know my videos, you know I like to run my grain in a particular direction. You don't have to. You can just say, you know, do the most parts per sheet, you know, optimize the material usage. With material prices what they are, that's a good option. So it's called cutlistoptimizer.com. So cutlistoptimizer.com. And I'm not affiliated with it at all, but that's what I started using here, and it looks like a really cool little program. It's not real complicated, and it's not. It's got some nice features. You can run your cut list calculations. You can output that to a PDF, or I think you can output it to a CSV or something if you want. But I haven't done that. So anyway, that's just a program I've been using, and it's really helped to get all of the different parts fit onto the material to optimize the material usage. Yeah, so I'm into my second lift of plywood. There's 40 sheets on a lift, and I've done over 40, and I think I've got about 6 or 8 into the second lift. That's a lot of plywood. It's a lot of money. They're not cheap. So that's all I have to say. I've just been working here as much as I can, putting in the longest days I can, because it's very tiring, especially these big sheets of plywood. It takes a lot of effort to move them around, and that's my day. So I'll give you a little glimpse of kind of the struggle here, and you know, A, the struggle with the big sheets, and B, how well it actually works, you know, because there's both. Otherwise, have a great day and have fun. The thing about the cut list optimizer is, because there's so many different cuts on a sheet, I end up moving the fence a lot, and that's fine. This saw is very accurate as far as the fence measure here, but it does introduce more points of failure if you just don't choose the right spot. This isn't especially loud, but over time it just bugs my ears, so I'm wearing my ear protection as well. Just safer and easier to shut the saw off. So the next cut is 20 1/8. It's right against the tractor, so it's just only 3 inches to spare. That's all I need. And the next one will be 8 3/8. Okay, well, that's the excitement. That's all that's going on. I just turn those around and cross cut them now. So kind of boring days, but you know, got to get the job done. A lot of this is actually custom work for a guy. I'm only cutting these up. I'm not going to do any assembly. So, you know, it's still time consuming and a lot of work. But once I cut these parts, then they're stacked and wrapped and ready to pick up there. But that's good, because boy, I've got a lot of work to do besides that job. I got 150 pallets to make and 200 covers before I make the 10 pallets and 30 covers that I want to make for myself. Oh, I got a bunch of bee escapes to make too. So, boy, this season doesn't last long. You think winter's really long. Well, not that long. That's all that's happening. Talk to you tomorrow, maybe. It's Wednesday, March 8th, 2023. I'm getting along well on my current project, but again, it's not exciting. It's just cut plywood, cut lumber. That's it. So this is a little bit different. It's drill plywood today. So you see these little nuke covers this guy wants, and they're mating nukes, so they take the mini frames. So there's 100 of those I need to drill. And then there's, I don't know, I think there's 100 10 frame covers to drill. I'm doing this a little differently this year. I have this new to me. It's fairly new, I think. It's nice shape. New to me 20-inch drill press. I looked for a 17-inch drill press. I wasn't finding one on the used forums, and this 20-inch came up, and it was a very good price, so I jumped on it. Seems to be working just fine. The lid rattles, makes a lot of noise, and it's the same with my other one that I have. It's a 14-inch, and so I just run with it open. It doesn't hurt anything. So yeah, the little one is a 14-inch, so it won't drill the center of a 16.5-inch cover. It would drill these little guys just fine. But so I'm drilling the little covers right now, and I'll show you how this thing is going. It actually works really well. So it's got a nifty light. My other drill press has a light too. It's a little more built in than this. This one's on a kind of a snake arm. And I'm not too crazy about getting it in the center. I want to get it mostly in the center. So I measured one out and drilled it, and then I just used that as a template to start there. And I can drill 2 or 3 at a time. You gotta take it slow though. There's a lot of material to remove. And this is a really nice bit. I bought this from Lee Valley. You can't quite see it. I bought this from Lee Valley. It's about a $35 bit. A 2-inch, they call it a 2-inch sawtooth bit. I call it a Forstner bit. It's the same as a Forstner bit, except for the bottom of it here, you can see is serrated. So anyway, you can see it makes a lot of wood shavings. That's good for the smoker. But so I got it nice and lined up there, and I'll flip the switch and we'll drill that. To the bottom where it kind of got stuck. All right, and you can, you know, not have to drill in one motion. I can feel that that's pretty warm. The bit gets hot, and you can just lift it out to clear the bit, which would be a good plan. And so I want to remember this is my pattern, because I don't want to be making a copy of a copy. So that works really nice. It leaves a really nice finish there. And I just deck them up here and wrap them in 10s for the customer. He's doing all the assembly. I'm not putting these together. So drill press, there's a couple different things. You saw it stall there a couple times, which is fine. And the reason that's just fine is that I'm holding it with my hand. You often actually want to use a clamp with a drill press, because one thing a drill press can do is it can rip your fingers off, or it can just hurt you really bad. You never, ever, ever want to wear gloves with a drill press. A glove gets caught in that bit or something, it'll just rip your finger off like nobody's business. It's like a PTO shaft, kind of a safety system. So you want to be safe. But the fact that I stalled it there and I was holding it with my hand means that it shouldn't pull the workpiece out of my hand and then cause injury or anything like that, because the belt will slip and it'll just stall at that point, which is fine for what I'm doing. Let's do another set here. Deck these up. I've gone through a couple, so I can take that one off. As long as I make a score mark in the next one. There we go. So that's all that's happening here. And that's literally all that's happening here. When I get all these parts done, then I stack them up on a little pallet. I'll wrap them with my plastic wrap, set them in the shed, and then customer's gonna come pick them up. So hopefully that's soon. There's one outstanding issue. And I've got stuff everywhere here. But my wife is building mini frames for the customer to go with these mini nukes that I'm cutting the lids for. And there's a few hundred of those to go. So we got to finish that before the customer can. Well, customer can pick up. I see him once in a while. I could deliver those at a later date. He can get a jump on assembling his boxes, perhaps. So once I'm done this drilling, I'll let him know that that he could pick up his material, and I can deliver, or he can pick up the frames later, or something like that. So that's what I'm gonna do. Regardless, that's all that's going on. That's all that's going on. It's been pretty nice out. It's been cold, like minus 15, minus 20, and it seems like it's maybe humid because very sunny, but man, is it chilly. I get cold out there pretty fast, but you know, it's been nice. It's a little breezy, but very sunny and quite pleasant if you're dressed for it. So I'm really really encouraged that spring maybe is on the way. The bees really need a break, and the long-term forecast for the next 3 weeks, it's getting better. It's definitely improving. It's not quite there yet. So you know, the way the forecast looks right now, it could be an April move out again, but things might turn around. So hopefully they will. The bees need a break. So do I. So until then, have a great day. Take care and have fun. It's Friday, March 10th, 2023, TGIF. It's been a busy week, and I've gotten a lot done because I've got a lot of shop time in this week. I finished off one of my big projects, as mentioned, and I'm taking inventory of my parts for the next, I'm going to say 2 projects, because there's a customer project and then there's a little bit of stuff for me. I often don't get my own stuff built. It's a busy time with orders, so I certainly can't complain about that, but the reality is I often don't get my own things built. Yeah, there's really nothing else to report here. It's just boring stuff. It's running pieces of wood through the saw. You saw me doing some drilling. That worked out quite well with the new drill press. I've got a few more covers to drill. I probably got another 100 or so to drill. And here's something funny. I had a chunk of wood here kicking around the shop for quite some time, and I have no idea where it came from. And so I cut it up in little pieces to use for shims under the covers. And so I just made some little shims here for my 6-frame covers. I'm pretty sure that's mahogany. So I don't know. What do you think, James? Are you going to start building your equipment out of mahogany now? This is kind of upscale. Mahogany in the beehive covers. So this is the end of my day, and that's the end of my week. I'm tired, and I'm in very, very good spirits. Partly because, well, the weather is starting to be nice. It's been sunny all week. Not especially warm, but warming up. So we're getting there. But something else that's really making me happy is my wife and I are now mortgage free. We own this luxury estate between us and the tax man. So as long as we keep paying him, then we'll be allowed to stay. That's a really nice feeling. And regardless of the fact that it's going to do a lot for the cash flow around here, it's just a really nice feeling. So it's very good news. We're bringing in a little bit of supper tonight. Nothing too, incredible. Just, we don't get takeout very often. So we're going to get some takeout, and we're going to enjoy ourselves, have a nice meal, and just celebrate a little bit. This is our mortgage burning party. I know we probably won't actually burn something, but you hear people doing that. So that's the deal. And I'm going to put this together for you, and apologize, it's really not very interesting, but hopefully next week we'll get into some assembly perhaps and start building some covers and some pallets. I've got a little project after the pallets and covers are built that I'm going to build about, I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 bee escapes. I haven't built those in quite a number of years. So I'll take you along when I do that. My wife's still working on frames here. She's got a ton of minis to make. She got about 450 minis yet to go. So she's working away at that every evening she can, and I so much appreciate that. It allows me to spend my time making the pallets and covers, etc. Doing the heavy work. The frames aren't, I don't class that as heavy work. It's just a lot of it, a lot of little pieces. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great weekend. Take care and have fun.